In the 15th century, a dark chapter opened in human history, the transatlantic slave trade. This was not the dawn of slavery itself, but rather a new, chillingly systematic form of it. European powers, driven by their burgeoning empire's insatiable demand for labor, began to forcibly uproot millions of African people, casting them into a life of servitude. Britain, in particular, played a pivotal role in this inhuman trade. British shipowners, merchants, and financiers all found a lucrative business in the trade of human lives. They transported countless Africans across the treacherous Atlantic to toil in the plantations of the Americas and the Caribbean. An unimaginable number of lives were lost in this brutal journey, known as the Middle Passage. But as the 18th century drew to a close, the winds of change began to stir. A growing number of voices within Britain were starting to question the morality of this trade. By the late 18th century, a wave of change was about to sweep across Britain. The late 18th century saw the rise of a powerful force, the abolitionist movement. This was a time of change, of voices rising, and of a battle against the inhumane practice of slavery. In Britain, this movement was led by figures like Thomas Clarkson and William Wilberforce, who ignited the flame of change. Clarkson, a relentless advocate, gathered evidence about the brutalities of the slave trade, while Wilberforce, a charismatic politician, became the voice of the movement in the British Parliament. Together, they raised public awareness about the horrors of slavery, reaching out to the masses through campaigns, petitions, and public meetings. They painted a vivid picture of the inhumanity of the trade, shocking the conscience of their fellow countrymen. Their message was simple, yet powerful. Slavery was not just an economic issue, it was a moral one. And it was this moral call to arms that resonated with the public, ultimately leading to a shift in societal attitudes. These tireless efforts finally bore fruit in the early 19th century. In 1807, Britain took a monumental step forward with the Abolition of the Slave Trade Act. This legislation marked a pivotal moment in history, signaling the beginning of the end for the brutal and inhumane slave trade. The act made it illegal to buy, sell, or transport slaves throughout the vast expanse of the British Empire. It was a direct result of tireless campaigning from abolitionists who believed in the inherent dignity and equality of all human beings. However, it's crucial to note that this act did not abolish slavery itself. Slavery continued in many British colonies, with men, women, and children still bound in chains, their freedom denied. The act was a significant milestone, yes, but it was only a partial victory. Slavery, in its most reprehensible form, persisted, and the fight for complete abolition had just begun. The fight to end slavery was far from over. Finally, in 1833, the British Parliament passed the Abolition of Slavery Act. This decisive act spelled the end of slavery throughout the vast British Empire. It didn't happen overnight, though, and the tireless efforts of committed abolitionists played an essential role in this achievement. Figures like William Wilberforce and Thomas Clarkson, among others, dedicated their lives to the cause, advocating relentlessly for the rights of enslaved individuals. The act itself decreed the abolition of slavery, but it also established a system of apprenticeship, aiming to prepare the formerly enslaved for their newfound freedom. It was a complex transition, with its own set of challenges and controversies. But above all, the act marked the official end of a brutal and inhumane practice within the British dominions. Imagine the relief, the joy, the mixed emotions that must have swept across the colonies as the news spread. It was a momentous change, a seismic shift. This marked a significant milestone in the journey towards human rights and freedom. The Abolition of Slavery Act left an indelible mark on history. This monumental legislation, enacted in the United Kingdom, didn't just abolish slavery within its dominions, it ignited a spark that would inspire other nations to follow suit. From the United States to Brazil, the act served as a beacon of hope, a testament to the power of collective action against human rights violations. However, the legacy of the act isn't just about its global impact. It's also a stark reminder of the lasting effects of slavery. Even with the abolition, the shadows of this inhumane institution lingered. manifesting in racial inequality and economic disparity that persists to this day. The legacy of slavery is intricately woven into the fabric of our societies, influencing everything from social structures to cultural norms. The act stands as a reminder of our collective responsibility to continue the fight against all forms of oppression and inequality. It's a call to action, a plea to never forget, and a beacon guiding us towards a more equitable future.